The first time I saw her, she was standing in the cereal aisle, staring at a box like it held the answer to something bigger than breakfast. My son tugged at my sleeve. "Dad, can we get the chocolate ones?" "Not today, buddy," I said, distracted, trying to decide between saving money and saving time. But it wasn't the cereal that held my attention. It was her. She looked lost. Not in the way people usually are in a grocery store. Not scanning shelves or checking a list. Her fingers rested lightly on the edge of the box, but her eyes were far away, like she wasn't really there at all. Then she blinked quickly, as if catching herself, and placed the box back. I didn't think much of it at the time. Life didn't really give me the luxury to dwell on strangers. It had been 3 years since my wife passed. 3 years of learning how to be both parents, of burning dinners and missing school emails, of pretending I was stronger than I felt for the sake of my 6-year-old son, Liam. We moved through routines like survival drills. Wake up, pack lunch, work, pick him up, dinner, bed, repeat. There wasn't room for anything else, or so I thought. A week later, I saw her again. This time at the park. Liam was on the swings, pumping his legs like he was trying to reach the sky, his laughter cutting through the late afternoon air. I sat on a worn wooden bench, half watching him, half answering emails on my phone. "Do you mind if I sit?" I looked up. It was her, up close. She looked even more fragile than I remembered. Not weak, just like someone carrying too much for too long. "Yeah, of course," I said, shifting over. She sat down carefully, leaving a respectful space between us. For a while, we didn't speak, just watched the kids. The wind rustled through the trees, and somewhere a dog barked. "That's your son?" she asked finally, nodding toward Liam. "Yeah," I said, "Liam. He looks happy." I smiled faintly. "I try." She nodded, like she understood more than I'd said. "I'm Emma," she added. "Daniel." And just like that, something quiet and unspoken passed between us. Not romance, not even friendship yet, just recognition. Over the next few weeks, we kept running into each other. Sometimes at the park, sometimes at the grocery store, once at the coffee shop near Liam's school. The conversation started small. Weather, kids, work. But there was always something underneath. Something unspoken, but felt. Emma never talked much about herself. When I asked, she'd smile politely and redirect the conversation. "What about you?" she'd say. "How do you manage everything?" I'd shrug. "You just do." She'd nod again, like she knew that answer too well. Liam noticed her before I realized how much she'd become part of our routine. "Dad, is Emma your friend?" he asked one night while I tucked him in. I hesitated. "Yeah, buddy. She's a friend." He thought about that, hugging his pillow. "I like her," he said. "She listens when I talk." That made me pause. Not everyone listened to kids the way they deserved to be heard. Emma did. One afternoon, it started raining unexpectedly at the park. Parents scrambled to gather their kids. I grabbed Liam's jacket and waved for him to come down from the slide. Emma was standing under a tree, arms wrapped around herself. No umbrella, no jacket. "You're going to get soaked," I said, jogging over with Liam. She gave a small laugh. "I didn't check the weather." "Come on," I said. "We live nearby. You can wait it out at our place." She hesitated. It wasn't fear exactly. More like uncertainty. "It's okay," I added gently. "Really?" Liam chimed in, grabbing her hand without thinking. "Yeah, we have hot chocolate." That broke something in her hesitation. She nodded. At home, everything felt different. Not awkward, just fuller. Liam chattered endlessly while I made hot chocolate. Emma sat at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around the mug like she was trying to absorb its warmth into something deeper than skin. "This is nice," she said quietly. "It's messy," I corrected with a small smile, glancing at the pile of dishes in the sink. "It's real." That word lingered. Real. Over time, Emma started coming around more. Not every day, not even every week, but enough that Liam would ask about her if too many days passed. "Is Emma okay?" He'd say. "I'm sure she is," I'd answer, though sometimes I wondered. There were days she seemed lighter. She'd laugh, really laugh, at something Liam said. And then there were days she seemed distant again, like the girl in the cereal aisle, present, but not fully here. One evening, after Liam had fallen asleep on the couch mid-cartoon, Emma and I sat quietly in the dim light of the living room. "You're good with him," she said. I shrugged. "I'm learning." "You don't just learn that," she replied. "You choose it. Every day." I looked at her then. Really looked. "You talk like you know what that's like." Her expression shifted. "Finally open up." But instead she stood. "I should go." "Emma." "I'm fine," she said quickly. Too quickly. And just like that, she was gone. The next week she didn't come to the park, or the grocery store, or the coffee shop. Liam noticed. "Where's Emma?" "I don't know, buddy." But I did something I hadn't expected. I worried. It was nearly 2 weeks later when she finally showed up again. At the park, Liam ran to her immediately, wrapping his arms around her waist. "You disappeared," he said. She knelt down, holding him tightly, her eyes closing, like she needed that hug more than he did. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I approached slowly. "You okay?" I asked. She nodded, but her eyes told a different story. "Can we talk?" she said. We sat on the same bench where we first met. The air felt heavier this time. "I didn't tell you everything," she began. I figured. She took a deep breath. "I had a daughter." The words hit like a quiet shock. "Had." Her lips trembled. "She was 5, Emma continued. "Her name was Lily." I felt my chest tighten. "What happened?" "A car accident," she said, her voice barely holding together. "A year ago." Silence wrapped around us. "I was driving," she added. And there it was. The weight she carried. The reason behind the distant eyes. "I survived," she whispered. She didn't. I didn't know what to say. There are no words for that kind of pain. "I see her everywhere," Emma said. "In parks, in grocery stores, in little girls who laugh too loudly." Her voice broke. I don't deserve to feel normal again. I sat there, feeling the depth of something I couldn't fix. But maybe fixing wasn't the point. "You being here," I said slowly, "that doesn't mean you forgot her." She looked at me, tears pooling. "It just means you're still here too." Before she could respond, Liam came running back toward us. "Emma," he called, "come see what I built." He grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the sandbox. She hesitated only for a second. Then she followed. A few minutes later, I walked over. Liam was proudly showing off a crooked sandcastle. Emma knelt beside him, smiling through tears she hadn't fully wiped away. Then Liam did something neither of us expected. He looked at her, tilting his head with that simple, honest curiosity only children have. "Emma," he said softly, "do you miss your daughter?" The world seemed to stop. Emma froze, her lips parted, but no words came out. And then, just like that, she broke. Tears spilled over. Uncontrollable, raw, real. "Yes," she cried, pulling Liam into a tight embrace. "Every single day." Liam hugged her back without hesitation. "I think she would like you," he said gently. That was it. That was the moment everything changed. Emma didn't try to hold it in anymore. She cried openly, years of buried grief pouring out in front of a child who didn't judge, didn't question, didn't try to fix it, just accepted it. And somehow that made it safe. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, we walked home together. Liam held her hand, and for the first time since I'd met her, Emma didn't look lost. She looked present. Broken, yes, but also healing. Somewhere along the way, without planning it, without forcing it, we became something like a family. Not perfect, not complete, but real. And sometimes that's enough. Because all it took was one honest question and the courage to finally answer it.